After a cyber attack forced a shutdown of the largest pipeline in the eastern United States, people are lining up at gas stations and the prices are rising. Correspondent Roee Ruttenberg reports from Washington.
Long lines and prices already on the rise at gas stations across parts of the U.S. on Tuesday.
I saw that there was a line here of cars, and I know that I'll be needing it soon, so why not just wait here?
The panic for petrol after a weekend cyber attack on a major U.S. oil pipeline forced its closure. The nearly 9,000-kilometer pipeline crosses a dozen states and supplies 7 U.S. airports. American Airlines announced it's adding stops to some long-haul flights to conserve fuel at a critical hub. Another U.S. carrier, Southwest, said it's using planes to fly additional fuel to other planes. The pipeline's operator, Colonial, says it hopes to fix the problem by week's end. Officials say a restart will happen gradually.
This pipeline has never been shut down before. It travels great distances. There is fuel in the pipe, and then there is fuel, the offtake from the refineries that have to be added. So it will take a few days.
Some are worried about the domino effects.
We'll run out of storage if the pipeline stays closed. So the price of oil here in Texas could drop because of this oversupply, right? At the same time, storage tanks in the Northeast at the other end of the pipeline are being drawn down. And if that imbalance continues, if we have the supply rise in Texas and this drop in New Jersey and New York, et cetera, prices there are going to go way up. They're going to have fuel shortages. Prices here are going to go down, and we're going to have a supply glut.
Georgia's governor on Tuesday announced he was suspending a state gas tax to help alleviate the pressure on the public and prohibiting price gouging. Meanwhile, there's concern the ransomware attack has further exposed U.S. vulnerabilities.
In New England, we get 60% of our electricity from gas that's brought into the region by pipeline, and yet they don't have the same level of standards of cyber protection for the pipeline system that we have for the grid.
At a hearing on Capitol Hill on Tuesday, government officials echoed the warnings of experts.
Cyber attacks on our nation's infrastructure are growing more sophisticated, frequent, and aggressive. Malicious cyber actors today are dedicating time and resources towards researching, stealing, and exploiting vulnerabilities.
The U.S. says a, quote, Russia-based company, DarkSide, is behind the pipeline attack. But at the same time, the White House says there's only so much federal officials can do when private companies are being targeted, leaving many wondering what can be done to prevent this sort of thing from happening again. Roee Ruttenberg, CGTN in Washington.
And now Andy Mork is joining us over Skype from Beijing. He's a senior research fellow at the Center for China and Globalization. Andy, hello there. Well, this is the second major hack on the U.S. in a year. So how would you assess the state of the country's cybersecurity defenses?
Well, I think certainly the state of its cybersecurity defenses is one important question, and we can see there is need for improvement. But I think more importantly, the U.S. is in the crosshairs of an intersection of two trends that are contributing to this. First of all, the U.S.'s reckless foreign policy has created enemies around the world, from nation states like Iran to individuals like Osama bin Laden. And for a number of these implacable adversaries, they're willing to take great risks and to inflict damage on the United States, even at great cost to themselves. So I think this is one trend. The other is, as the digital world and the offline world increasingly merge, everyone, every country around the world, every company, every individual faces greater risk. But I think the U.S. is uniquely at risk because of these two trends, not just the merging of the digital and the offline world.
Talking about the trend, this act targeted critical infrastructure, forcing the shutdown of U.S. largest oil pipeline. What threats do you think the hacks like these which pose worldwide?
Well, I think it's an increasingly dangerous and broad-based threat because we see things like energy pipelines, electricity grids, hospital systems as we move into a world of autonomous vehicles and more of daily life becomes automated, that it certainly is a risk. And here we can see China taking the lead with President Xi Jinping's call for creating a community of shared future for mankind, where countries, entities like NGOs, international organizations all need to work together to successfully address these threats.
All right, thank you very much. Andy Mork reporting, Andy Mork, Senior Research Fellow at the Center for China and Globalization.